Delighted now to be joined in a Star Sport podcast by Irish rugby star Enya Breen. Welcome to the podcast, Enya.
Thanks for having me, Kieran.
We're we're now what? We're in June now, a couple of months out from the Women's Rugby World Cup. Is it starting to get real?
Yeah, it is. I think we're God's 2 months out now, 8 weeks or something. Um, and yeah, we're well underway with preseason. It's week 3 now of our first block, so it's been very tough, but yeah, it's hugely exciting as well.
Like you've obviously played in big competitions before, Enya, the Six Nations and all that. But this is a Rugby World Cup. Like it's going to be your first Rugby World Cup. Like how excited are you for that?
To be honest, I was only thinking about it the other day, and I realized that I haven't really thought too much about how it actually is a World Cup. I think only Clean Maloney is our only team member who's been at a World Cup before, so it's a very new experience for us as a group. And it's something like this is something I've wanted to play in for years. Unfortunately, we didn't qualify for New Zealand 2021. But yeah, to finally get the chance and to do it only over the pond as well is unbelievable.
The fact that it's on over in England, like it's almost like a home away from home World Cup. You have a lot of family and friends from here, from West Cork, just making the trip across the water.
Yeah, absolutely. I everybody I talk to seems to be going. Everyone seems to be trying to go to the Black Ferns game. So yeah, it's great for them. It's great for it to be so accessible and so close. And I've friends, I've family members over in England as well that will only love to make the trip down to a game or two. So yeah, it's brilliant to have that support and that kind of community behind you, because you're doing it. I'm doing it for them as well as much as I'm doing it for myself. So to be able to share that experience with them is hugely special.
Like you've always had a super back in from West Cork around Skibbereen right across the region, and you're following in some very famous footsteps. Laura Guest from Clonakilty, she played in the Rugby World Cup before, so you're continuing that proud tradition that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully some of the lads now in the next few years will be the West Cork lads will be at a World Cup as well in the next few years. So yeah, it's incredible to follow Guesty's footsteps. She's kind of a legend of the game. But yeah, to be able to represent West Cork and strengthen those rugby roots from West Cork up to the international stage is brilliant.
You mentioned there you're in week 3 of preparation. I suppose the preparation squad was named a couple of weeks ago as well, and it's all like everything is now kind of pointing towards the World Cup. Can you sense that this kind of preparation is different to, let's say, preparation for Six Nations and so on, or what do you try and do with that in you? Do you try and keep it as normal as possible, or try and, for the fact it's a World Cup, does that change anything?
Um, I think it does and it doesn't. It's probably like it's the first time we've all done a preseason as a whole 30 odd 40 ever. So it's it gives a great buzz around the place. And like we've never really spent this long in camp, so it's different, but it's also different in a good way. Like we're all getting to enjoy each other's company. We're all struggling through it together. Because it's tough, but it's kind of in these tough sessions, whether it's in the boiling heat or the pouring rain, like it was last week, where you kind of make memories, you enjoy it, and you strengthen the bonds and the trust you have in each other as well. And yeah, it's a great group, and to be able to be part of it is unreal, and I wouldn't want to do it with any other people really.
How much do you enjoy the slog and the hard work?
I do enjoy it. Yeah, I hate it at the time, but mentally I think I love it.
It's like, and it's all part of like that preparation that'll take you towards the World Cup. And you mentioned the Black Ferns there to play New Zealand, the defending champions, in a World Cup, like in one of the group games. Like that's going to be an incredible occasion.
Oh yeah, it'll be unbelievable. I think the stadium in Brighton is supposed to be great as well. So yeah, apparently it's sold out already. And like to playing a New Zealand team in a World Cup is kind of things something you don't that never really comes around too often. I know we got to play against them last year for my first time anyway. And I've been playing 6 odd years for the international team, so to be able to do it twice in 1 year and one of them be at a World Cup is unreal because you want to test yourself against the best on the world stage. And yeah, they'll I'm sure they'll be gunning for us, but Jesus, we'll be gunning for them as well.
100%. And before that, obviously two more group games, Japan and Spain. Like kind of when you're looking at that group, what's your first kind of thoughts? Kind of how tough is it? What's your own kind of initial reaction to the group?
Um, yeah, I think like it's a World Cup. It's knockout rugby. It's not something we're like knockout rugby isn't something we're hugely familiar with. So no matter what group you get, it kind of all focuses on the first game and getting a good start. I think we've Japan up first, so yeah, they'll be a huge test. Like they're all oppositions we're kind of familiar with from the last few years. Like we went over to Japan a few years ago. We played Spain in WXV 2 years ago, I think, and New Zealand last year. So like we've been in tight games against all three. So we can't really look past one game or the next. So yeah, it's I think once we get closer to it, it'll be all eyes on Japan in that first game because getting a good start and getting up and running well will be the most important thing to kind of build momentum.
You mentioned WXV there, and obviously the tournament in the last year went so well for Ireland, and especially for you, to captain Ireland for the first time, an incredible experience. But I think you proved in Canada that you can mix it with the best. So how much can you take from WXV last year and take it into this year?
Yeah, I think we can take a huge amount out of it. Really, it gave us a lot of belief in ourselves and what we were doing, and I think when we were over there and before we went, we spoke a lot about like awe versus belief. Because like these are big teams at the top table of the game. So your Canadas, your New Zealands, your Englands, your USA's, your France's, and I suppose in the few years before that, we probably would have looked at that table from afar and been in awe of those players, world class superstars. So what we went into that tournament believing that we could mix it with them, and I think we actually showed ourselves that we could as well. So we took a huge amount from it, and to be able to not just compete but win 2 games over there, it gave us a huge amount of momentum, and it just kind of solidified and gave us the backing that we needed just from ourselves. Because it was all like no matter what coaching you get or who's in the stands, who's up, whatever you do during the week, it's all about the 80 minutes on the pitch and the people out in the pitch. So to be able to actually put in the performances that we knew we had in the locker but we hadn't showed yet, it was hugely satisfying. And hopefully that's the start of now a big push for the next year and onwards.
Having that belief, that's a huge part of it, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it just gives you that kind of the confidence to know that all that work that you're doing in the background, that it bears fruit. Like you said, to have those two super wins over there, kind of it gives you the confidence to go into this year to know that this Irish team can do something special over there. And like I said, it's a World Cup. It's on the big stage. And even taking it back years ago, when you were younger, have you any memories of watching the World Cup in you, kind of, or your own standout memories from a World Cup when you were younger?
Yeah, I probably my first hearing even about a women's World Cup was the women over in France beating the Black Ferns. When they made it to the semis, didn't they, and lost to England. Um, and then yeah, I watched all the men's World Cups over the years. Watched New Zealand win back to back 2011, 2015. Um, yeah, it's not when you're watching them at that age, it's not something you ever imagine yourself doing.
Mhm.
Seeing packed out stadiums, seeing world class players. So yeah, it'll be a cool experience and something I'm really looking forward to.
Do you ever always have to pinch yourself in you just to see how far you've come, kind of like where you started off? And now here we are on a podcast chatting about taking on the Black Ferns in a sold out World Cup group game. Like it's a super story.
Yeah, I to be honest, sometimes I it happens on weeks off sometimes where I just take a step back and I'm just like, God, this is it's kind of unbelievable to be able to call this my job and to be able to travel and just play play games with my best friends for a living. So yeah, I do feel incredibly lucky, and I barely believe it sometimes. I think when we're training, it can be very easy to get caught up in like the slog of it all and how because it is hard work at the same time. But yeah, we've so much fun doing it as well that God, it's I wouldn't want to be doing anything else.
You mentioned there the weeks off, and I presume they'll be coming less and less as we get closer to the World Cup. But what would you do in a week off or a few days off just to unwind and kind of step outside the rugby bubble?
Um, yeah, I go home a lot. Yeah, it is rare to get a week off in this kind of profession, but yeah, I like to head home down to Castletown's and whenever I can and just spend a few days by the sea there, just yeah, with my parents, with my family, my nieces and nephews down there, just to completely get away from it all. Because especially with my nieces and nephews as well, they don't care what I do or what I don't do. If I my parents can be asking me all, every question about the game, but yeah, playing with my little nieces and nephews can just be refreshing in the exact break I need because they don't care if I've won or lost or who I'm playing next or what injury I have. They just want to have some fun. So yeah, I do try to get home whenever I can, but I just like being outside as well. If I'm staying up in Dublin, where I'm living, I go to the sea or go to the coast and just get out for a walk and just decompress a little from it all because it's a game where you can be very hard on yourself and you're your own worst critic at times, so it can be very easy to just get caught up in the bubble and be if things aren't going well, you can just be very negative. So to be able to unwind and just not think about it all for a while is just lovely.
And that's probably something like you're quite experienced now. Like you probably learned that over the years, to have that separation between rugby and life, to can step outside the bubble and not be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I think it's something I've probably learned over the years is more important the more I'm playing. So yeah, I can be very social at times, but I'm also quite introverted. So I've no problem even in camp here in the evenings. I've no problem having a cup of tea or having a chat with the girls, but then just going into my room or just going out for a while and not talking to anybody. Even taking lifts in the morning, I nearly avoid bringing people in driving people in as much as I can just so I can have 20 minutes in the car on my own listening to some music. But yeah, it is really important, and I think managing yourself off the pitch is probably what, for me anyway, helps get more out of me on the pitch. So if I'm in a good mental state, if I'm content, happier off the pitch, it really translates to my performance. So yeah, it's probably something I've been more deliberate with as I've gotten more experienced, I think.
And what does Enya Breen listen to in the car? Is it podcast? Is it music? These are the questions that our listeners want to know, Enya.
It can be a mix. Um, if podcast wise, God, I enjoy a bit of comedy. So maybe My Therapist Ghosted Me with Joanne McNally and Vogue Williams, or I'm Grand Mam is one I've just started and I'm really enjoying. And then I actually listen to some rugby podcasts as well, which is a bit nerdy of me. But yeah, I listen to For the Love of Rugby with Ben Youngs and Dan Coles, I think it is. And they get different kind of guests on, like George Ford and things like that, and to be able to hear their perspective of the game and stuff and what they're seeing, it kind of just it. I suppose it just gets me thinking and probably gives me a different perspective on the game that I can see if I can bring things into my own into what I do on the pitch. And then music wise, God, it could be anything. Country music, Taylor Swift, whatever is on the charts at the moment. Yeah, it's a big mix, but usually something I can sing along to.
Uh, Good stuff. And before I let you go, and just to touch on what you said there about listening to rugby podcast, would you see yourself as almost a thinker of the game? Is that you want to get as much knowledge as you can just to kind of improve yourself, and you take bits off different people? Would you be someone like that? Like you mentioned the kind of the word nerd earlier, like a rugby nerd in that sense, that you really want to kind of better yourself by soaking in as much as you can.
Yeah, I think so. Like there's only as I'm getting older as well, there's only so much training I can do on the pitch to get better. So trying to make the most of my time off the pitch as well. Especially like even around the HPC here, there's so much experience walking around when even like if the men's team are in or even among the coaching team, they've like our one of our assistant coaches, Gareth Steenson, has got a couple of hundred caps for Exeter, I'd say at 10. So to be able to pick their brains and to see not to see, hear what they're looking for and what they're looking at, yeah, it can really just open up your eyes a little bit more. So yeah, I definitely would go. I wouldn't necessarily go looking for it, but I'd keep my ears open, and if I find something that kind of interests me, I'd be like, oh yeah, what's that? And I just have a think about it and see, because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to get better every day and be the best player that I can for the team. So if I can get even a little 0.5% off listening to a podcast or listening to Steno talk for 10 minutes, then that's brilliant, and I'll take that because those kind of things don't come around too often, but they add up at the end of the day.
No, 100%. No, you've been super with your time, and you enjoy the next couple of weeks. Enjoy the hard slog. Enjoy your nieces and nephews, keeping you grounded ahead of your big World Cup, and the very best of luck in the weeks ahead. Okay.
Thanks a million, Kieran. Good to chat to you.